Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our show, Spin the Career Wheel with Nikkhiel Malhotra. While many Indian students dream to study abroad, not everybody starts at the same academic or confidence level. Today, we are going to unpack how pathway programs can really help students or can really help change students' lives. We have with us Casey Parks, Director Academic Strategy and Quality at Kaplan Pathways, ANZ. Hi, Casey. Welcome to our show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Our pleasure, Casey. So, Casey, before we talk about pathway programs, I want to know about you. What drew you towards academic leadership or student success?
So, I originally had a corporate background working in tourism for many years, and then I did a lot of traveling, and I started teaching in Mongolia, and I absolutely loved it, the interaction with students. And so when I came back to Australia, I didn't want to go back into my corporate sort of job, so I started teaching with Kaplan, and I just absolutely loved it. It kind of gave me that window back into the world. So, yeah.
No, I agree. This is what students do to you. I remember I started my career as a teacher. Until date, I'm into this education industry. I agree. Now, Casey, we are talking about pathway programs here, but with your experience, have you come across any student whose journey really made you believe in pathway education?
Many, so
Many,
many.
yeah.
We've had lots of different students over the time. It was in the middle of COVID, and so I was teaching online, Zoom, and the students were really shy and introverted. And then they came on shore to Australia, and they were still suffering from that, the anxiety they had. And through our classes, their confidence really grew, and they just felt like that they could be successful in Australia. A lot of our students come and they just think they've got a bit of that deficit mindset that they, are not as good as the other students. And we just constantly tell them, yes, you are, you can do this. And by the end, they just have the confidence. And now this one Chinese student, she's now working in sales, and she's got this amazing career, and I see her updates pop up on LinkedIn. It makes you really proud of them.
I agree, because when you have seen a student really struggling at the initial years of their academic journey to where they are today, yeah, and we'll talk more about that. We'll dive deep into pathway education, but let's talk about a typical Indian student. So, say a typical Indian student, good intent, maybe some study gaps, is not able to do well in their university degrees. So, what do you think is the reason?
I mean, there's lots of factors there. I think a lot of the time it's a confidence thing. Maybe back in their home country, they've got a lot of the students struggle with mathematics, for example, and it's a lot of that rote learning, and they just get the thought in their mind that they are not good in that certain thing. And the one thing that especially Indian students, they're so they never give up is what I find. And so I had one student, Indian student, he failed his maths, but he was so determined to get into his program. And I said, maybe you should switch into another degree. And he said, no, I'm going to do this, Casey. I believe that I can do it. And he did. And it was just amazing. And I actually ran into him the other day. He was working, and I saw him, and I went, wow, do you remember me? It was just really nice to see him now studying at the university.
I think what we are talking about today, Casey, every student ends up getting into universities, but the first couple of semesters are really a big challenge. One reason is what we talked about, maybe they have study gaps or they are low on academics. But even those students who are good in academics, even when they join the university, they also face a lot of challenges for the couple of semesters. What do you think is the reason behind that?
Well, I think the education systems a lot of the time are so different, the style of teaching is very different. And when a lot of Australian students, domestic students are in the class, they've already had that teaching from, very young age. And so they're very comfortable in giving their opinions and discussing things. With some students, because of their educational background, that's not the style they're used to. And so they just feel really uncomfortable around that, and I think get quite intimidated. So I think that's one big thing. And it's not that they're not academically smart. It's just that, they're not sure where they fit.
The shift is too sudden. Yeah?
Exactly, and it's not just that. It's not just their academics. They're looking for accommodation. They're trying to find work. They're trying to find friends. They're missing their families back home. They're not sure if they can do it. So they've got all these additional stresses
And they
on
have to
top.
cook their food, which their mums used to do while they
Exactly.
were
They
here.
all tell me they miss
Yeah,
their mum
yeah.
so much. They've got all of these competing things where the Australian domestic students, they're still living at home still. Their mum's cooking for them, so they don't have that stress to worry about. And, breaks your heart. And they just are in tears sometimes. And so what we do is to try and support them in that as much as possible, because we understand how difficult it is for them.
Yeah. So let's come to the nomenclatures, right? So there are a lot of terms around pathway programs, foundation programs. So what exactly are they? Because as a counselor, when a student will come to me, I'll talk about pathway programs. But what really are they? What are they? How will you define them, or to an Indian parent?
So I think that there's a bit of a misconception around what pathways are. I mean, I think that people think it adds extra time onto their studies, or it's that, like I said, that deficit mindset, but it really isn't. It's what we're providing opportunities for students who might not get in to the universities directly. And so our degree transfer program, for example, it's the students go into the first year, the same curriculum, the same content that they would at the university, but it's just more supportive. So we acknowledge that maybe their academics are not where it needs to be, but we just get them there. And so we call it scaffolded learning. And so they're in smaller class sizes. They're with teachers that are used to working with international students, so they know where the issues are and where they struggle, and giving them that support. So that once they move on, they can succeed. And what we found in our data is that students who come through our pathway program, compared to direct international students, have a much higher GPA than those direct students, because they've got that support and confidence.
That's very interesting to know. So now help us understand better. So a student who enters a pathway program compared to a student who enters a direct bachelor's, are you saying both of them end up finishing their degrees at the same time?
Yes, that's right. With our programs, our degree transfer.
So what is the difference here? Why do a student needs to go for a pathway, or which student should go for a pathway compared to a direct entry?
I'm a bit biased. I would say they all do, because, we provide that support. And it's not only the academic support, it's support with, they don't understand how to use university systems, how to enroll, how to get around the campus. And we provide that for them. And then building up their critical thinking skills and helping them to do their research and their referencing and all those sorts of things. So there's that support for them. And I find, going direct, obviously it's fine, but it's like we're there to give them that soft landing before they move into the university. And I think it's all about creating the college community as well. That's really important for us, is to build the connections for the students as well, so that they have friends and, they can meet other international students as well.
So if a student, say for example, a direct entry is say at 80%, and if a student has slightly lesser marks, do you think they can still get into a pathway degree?
Yeah, absolutely.
The eligibility criteria for a pathway entry are slightly lesser?
That's right, yes. Yeah. But because we've got that support for them, we get them up to where they need to be.
Yeah. So the basic assumption from a university side is, even if a student is not able to make a direct entry, in a pathway structure, because there's a lot of academic support,
yes,
the students will be able to cope up and will be able to being a successful graduates at the end of the year. So that's the basic concept behind pathways.
Exactly.
Now this is very interesting, because I know in India, we have like lakhs of students preparing for competitive exams, and I know a lot of parents will come to me and say, Nikhil, my child is not focusing on class 12th marks. He or she is focusing on the competitive exam, which is fair. I understand, because as long as you have a 50% and above in class 12, you can still make it to a top rank university in India. But when it comes to international education, suddenly class 12 marks are important.
Yes.
So here we are talking about that if a student has low marks in class 12, can they still able to make it to a world top 100 ranked university?
Yes, absolutely. They can. Yeah. We have really close partnerships with our universities and they want to see those sorts of students because they bring such benefit to the universities as well.
So I know about your partnership with University of Adelaide, now Adelaide University, which is in a world top rank 100.
It is.
So what really happens there? Like a student slightly lesser marks in class 12th, not eligible for Adelaide University, but through Kaplan Pathways can still study bachelor's at Uni Adelaide?
Yeah, that's right. So we have our degree transfer program because of our close relationship with the university. They've given us all their curriculum and their content, and then we teach that. And then we have an agreement once they've finished that first year, they move into the second year of the degree. And we have classrooms on the campus. So, it's the same study, but I think it's more supported for them.
Because, see, I think we always feel that if you are not able to make it to an academic eligibility, you might not be able to cope in a good university. And here we are talking something different. Totally opposite. We are saying, don't worry about your academic levels. If you are sincere, you come through Kaplan Pathways and you're able to finish your degree from a world top rank 100 university.
Yeah, absolutely. And we advocate on behalf of our students as well. They might not know all the nuances of the education system, but we really want the best for our students. So we can advocate for them and say, okay, you need to go here and talk to this person and do this. And we just, support them so that they can achieve. And it's not, in Australia, I think it's not always about the highest academics. In Kaplan, we're not all about, everyone doesn't have to be a doctor. Student success for us is that the students come out with their degree, they have a fantastic time, and they can get a job that they're happy with. It's not, we don't necessarily say you need to be the top of the top. For us, the student experience is the most important thing.
So while we are talking about a lot about year 12 students, do you have such similar entries for students who finish their bachelor's, like somebody who wants to study master's?
Yes, we have our pre-master's program. So it's a similar premise. They can come and study their first trimester with us with that lower entry requirement, and then we add that support around for them. And I think it's really necessary, for the pre-masters, because we've got a lot of Australian domestic students doing their master's program who are quite mature age. They've already worked. They've got a lot of work experience, whereas in a lot of overseas markets, students generally do their bachelor 1 or 2 year and then they'll be in their master's. And so they get quite intimidated because the domestic master's students have all this experience. They seem like they know so much more. And so we try to give that support to them and say, you still have value here. You still have experience. And just to give them that confidence that they can succeed as well.
So I've seen normally Indian students, once they enter a university, so when I say they enter a university, so these pathway programs, are they run in the university or is there a different entity wherein they go or different building? What is...
No, we're on campus in all of our colleges, the university, because of our close partnerships. We've got a dedicated space within the university. In the university infrastructure, they still get a university ID card. Even me as a staff member, I'm like a university staff member as well. It's very integrated.
So which all universities in Australia you have such arrangements?
University of Newcastle. It's now Adelaide University. They've just kicked off.
Yeah, they've just changed.
Exactly. So Adelaide University and then Murdoch University.
I recently heard about some relations with Swinburne. Are you guys coming up with Swinburne as well?
Yeah, so we're doing a direct recruitment with them at the moment. Yes.
Okay. Great. So how do employers see pathway students? Do they differentiate between both the categories, or for them it is all students, or do we tell them that these students have come through pathways or these are direct entry students?
Yeah, I don't think there's that negative mindset around pathway students, because at the end of the day, the students end up with a degree. And that's
Yes.
what they're looking at. So they're looking, if you're going to Adelaide, you'll get a bachelor from the university or Adelaide University. So no, I don't think so. And I think the benefit, what we have noticed, because a lot of universities are moving towards work integrated learning. And so within the second year of most degrees, University of Newcastle, very strong in this, they have work integrated learning in the second year. And what we were finding with our students, they weren't really prepared for that. They were really not sure what to do. What is this? And so we've started to build into our programs employability, capacity building. So talking to students very early, what is employability? What do you need to do? And trying to make connections for them as well. And really thinking about what they're studying. You know, is this really aligned with your skill set? Or is there maybe another pathway for you that would be better? When I say pathway, career journey is what I mean. So, and making connections with the university's employability teams as well. We work very closely so that we prepare students so that they can be successful once they do their work integrated learning.
And when students join or into your degree transfer program in the first semester or the first year, my assumption is there's a lot of academic support. But do you also give them support around looking for a part-time job or how to work on their resumes, or it is only about academics here?
No, we absolutely do that. That's something that we trialed last year in the University of Newcastle, was our employability week. We had a jobs fair on campus for that casual work for them with lots of employers we've got connections with in health and all different areas. Lots of students got jobs on the spot.
Okay.
Because we know that's really important for them to be able to focus on their studies. And then we do support around resumes and what's really important for them. And we do a lot of problem-based learning as well to try and build up their capacity for their future work as well.
Yeah. So what is that one thing or one advice you will tell to all these Indian parents who are worried that their child might struggle once they are abroad?
I think that genuinely there's lots of support available. I think there's a lot of really, like, educators really want the best for the students. And that's why I keep doing what I do, because the teachers are truly dedicated to the students. And I think they really do want the success for the students. And especially at Kaplan, we are really focused on student success, not about the numbers or anything like that. We want our students to be successful and we want to support them in what they do.
And you have such degree transfers in almost all the programs at the university, or they are limited to few?
They're limited to streams. So we have business, IT, computer science, engineering, and health.
Okay.
So it leads into the...
This is covers majority of the chunk where Indian students will want to come and study.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you so much. I think this was quite insightful, and a lot of students, and I think after this podcast, I'm very positive that degree transfers is something which Indian students should look for. Because there's a lot of support, which I know they need.
Yeah.
And you are saying that we provide all that support to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Casey. Thank you so much for being on our show.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.